Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. I was able to watch the recording of the hearing tonight that happened in Congress with the UFO, UAP witnesses and whistleblowers, and it was way better than I was anticipating, and I'm thrilled to say I do believe I've been proven wrong. It's all good. George Knapp hit the grand slam, though. The man, he was in the right place at the right time. George Knapp, our hero. Absolutely. What questions it appeared to me that could not be asked as straightforwardly, expecting straightforward answer of some of the other witnesses simply because of where they have served in national government, could be and were asked of George Knapp, and he could answer them. And he did. Tremendously interesting. I got to watch bits and pieces of this. I went to Richard Dolan's site. He was airing it. Patrick from Vetted was airing it. Ross Coulthart of News Nation was airing it. So we had plenty of opportunities everywhere to watch. I watched it on Richard Dolan's site. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Richard. Tracy acknowledged me in the comments when I made a couple of comments. Thank you. So I have clips that I want to share. What I'm going to do, and this is not to disparage any of the other witnesses. Every one of these guys, I think this hearing was a better hearing than the last one. And that's not to disparage any of the other hearings either. I promise. This one though seemed extra powerful. And perhaps it was because we had a civilian instead of just former military personnel. I agree. I say, and I do say, George Knapp is not properly a whistleblower, but he is an important voice, gratefully willing to testify to Congress and help them see a larger UFO context through his ideas and through his experience of really, truly 38 years of work in the UFO materials and with the people involved. That gives George Knapp an abundant context, in my opinion, that is quite helpful. And I'm thrilled. Let's do some clips of, I'm going to focus on George Knapp in this response to this hearing, simply because I don't have a lot of time to go through an extensive interpretation of everyone that was said and everything that was said. It was a much better hearing than I expected. Those who keep saying, yeah, this is a nothing burger, you're boring the hell out of us. Shut up and go away. You know, you're the nothing burger. The more I watch, and I'm doing a lot of it, and listen to and read, and I am doing a lot of it, of Richard Dolan's ideas, I am coming around to his way of thinking. This is a dribbling out of information. And this hearing explained in many respects why. You know, if it's a nothing burger, for those of you who keep touting the ridiculously stupid words now, we're bored to death of your lack of analysis and comprehension, then why don't you be a nothing burger and go away? You know, let the rest of us work in this. You guys who don't believe in it or whatever, you're boring the hell out of all the rest of us who are finding really interesting information. You know, be a part of it, or go pick up crochet or something, will you? Do something useful with your lives instead of complaining all the time. I'm talking to myself because I do my share amount of complaining. as you well know. But I also do my share amount of blessing when the blessing is deserved. Not everything is a nothing burger. Everyone keeps saying, show us proof. George Knapp described the difficulty of that occurring. You know, what do you think proof is, and would it convince absolutely the rest of the world? I'm willing to bet it won't. You know, like George said, what are you going to do? Find a piece of kryptonite? Good luck. You know, let's take a look at a couple of the items that is focusing on what George Knapp said. I thought were really, really well done. And I'm very appreciative, grateful that George Knapp was there. I am so glad he was there. Thank you, George, for being there. Yes. And of course, you see Jeremy Corbell right there behind him. Absolutely. His partner in ufology. There he is. All right, let's listen to what George says. Very important point here.
The public has been told over and over since the late 40s, there's nothing to worry about here. These mysterious craft seen by millions of people in the skies, in the oceans, over the land are not real. They're not a threat. The witnesses are wrong. They're crackpots. Don't believe it. That changed for me. What got me hooked is the paper trail. Documents that were squeezed out of the U.S. government after the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, became the law of the land. And those documents paint a much different picture than what the public, the press, and Congress have been told over many years. The documents from military and intelligence personnel behind closed doors admit that, quote, these things are real. They're not fictitious. They can fly in formation. They're evasive, and they outperform any aircraft known to exist, including ours. The public, of course, as I said, has been told something much different.
I think that's a really important point. George Knapp didn't come into this as a believer. He was a reporter. He saw it as a story. As he looked into this story, the evidence that kept him going and interviewing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people through 38 years of investigation, for which we are very grateful. Thank you, George Knapp. Seriously, sincerely. May you get another 38 years of investigating with the rest of us. Absolutely. It is the paper trail. This is proper evidence. I know there's a lot of people say, oh, yeah, they're just a bunch of grifters. They write books. They want to sell books. Well, duh. No kidding, cowboy. Of course, the books give us the information. They give us the patterns. They give us the names. They give us the dates. They give us the types of UFOs, etc. Of course, they want to share the knowledge. That doesn't make anyone who writes a book a grifter. Even that negative narrative is beginning to bore the living hell out of us. Can't you guys at least start getting a little bit original in why, no matter what, you won't accept any of this? If you don't want to accept any of it, then why are you wasting your time here? Go do something significant. Learn how to play basketball or something, right? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, this is the video. This is the first video that was actually shown to the Congress. This is cool. And they talk about this.
Wouldn't surprise her, tell you. You call it the BVSS team. Yeah, like 2008.
That shit took off earlier.
So that's one of the videos. They do show another video here in just a little bit that, in my opinion, is simply outrageously phenomenal. And I have a special take on that particular video that they showed at this congressional conference. That is really important to note. Let's go to the next clip here.
Look, I'm not jumped to the conclusion that I believe that there are, aliens coming from another planet. But I'm open to that. And I think that it's our responsibility, especially when we're seeing that we have a government that is actively blocking information from us. Just last night, I tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure. And conveniently, it was named non-germane, mostly deemed by staff, not even an elected official. This is the kind of stuff that we repeatedly see. Last year, we were blocked by someone in House administration from being able to receive a full briefing from Arrow. So not an elected official, but someone in staff blocked us. And I've had it. Enough is enough.
Now, the reason I wanted to share this clip is because this is Representative Burleson on the UFO committee, the investigation committee. He is one of we the people's elected representatives, and their bills are being blocked and changed by staff who haven't even been elected to represent us. This is critical to grasp why we, the public, need to inform our Congress and get them the power to push these bills through instead of let some snot-nosed little dipshit staffer decide what's relevant and what's not. Bullshit. The Congress should have the power to decide what's in those bills, not some yo-yo punk that we don't want representing us. We elected these people. We need to make sure they have the power. How do we do that? We get involved. We talk. We talk. We must begin to activate. We voted our representatives in. I'll be damned if I'm going to let some punk, non-elected, staffer little twit decide what my representative, whom I have told what I want, put in a bill and then get taken out. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. This, I hope, needs to outrage 300 million of us to show these stupid little dipshit staffers who has the power. This is why we must begin to get active. And I'm overemphasizing this, I think. But to know that it's some yo-yo noodle who defeats the bills pisses me off. If it doesn't piss you off, then you're not paying attention. You're not getting it. This is our government. We elected these people. They have the say-so, not some yo-yo nut. That's all I'm going to say on that, because the rest of this stuff is really glorious. But that electrified me. That's not good. So, crap, how did we get to this state of affairs to where just any Joe, Dick, or Harry, Sally, Jane, or Martha twit can decide what becomes law? How in the hell did that happen? Let's get it back into Congress is my object. Absolutely so. Okay, let's keep going.
someone in staff blocked us, and I've had it. Enough is enough. I want to queue up a video that I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe, this was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone. And so and I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does. This is when it zoomed out. So you can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp, do you have you heard about, events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah. What the hell is that? What?
Now, for the first time that I'm aware of, MSNBC, the nightly news, the important big news organization with David Muir, showed this video, and they talked about this congressional hearing. This video that has been kept back until just now, today, made the national news. That's how huge this story is. Now, what I want to know is, who in the hell is so damn stupid as to try to shoot a UFO down? I have no idea. Once we know their capabilities, are you kidding me, man? The military, ridiculous, stupid, myopic mindset is terrifying me. It should terrify you. Man, I'm telling you, what imbeciles, what idiots would shoot on a UFO, I have no idea. However, the effect of that is astonishing. Later on in this discussion, they are each asked what they actually think of that video, and I've got that clip. I'll share it here in just a few minutes. But George Knapp hits home run after home run after home run every time he talks in this Congress hearing. Let's keep watching George Knapp operate. And so do the others. I am not trying to minimize or disparage any of the other witnesses. George Knapp is the civilian here, and that's what makes him so significant. I understood it. I was fearful that it was going to be detrimental. It actually elevated the power of this hearing, for which I am truly grateful. George Knapp, you did absolutely a wonderful job. Thank you from all of us to you, and Jeremy Corbell for your work. Okay.
Pushing until the facts, whatever they are, wherever they lead, come to light. I'm going to go to you, Mr. Knapp, first. You've interviewed numerous UAP whistleblowers over the years. Question is, how do you verify their claims before deciding they're credible enough to report on?
It's a combination of factors. First, you check their credentials. Did they really serve where they said they did? And did they work where they said they did? Are there any other witnesses? Is there visual proof, film, footage, things of that sort? You ask the people around them that know them, that used to work with them. If they're credible people, that's one way. You know, I think about Arrow, the organization that this body created to deal with witnesses and whistleblowers. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time here, but they invited people to come forward, service members who knew, saw things and had experiences. And I can tell you that the people that I have talked to who went through that are deeply disappointed. There was a guy named Bob Jacobs who was a lieutenant attached to Vandenberg in 1964. His unit would record missile tests. They recorded all of them. On one of these particular tests, a UFO comes out of nowhere, zaps what looks like a laser beam at what would have been a nuclear dummy, a nuclear weapon, and disabled it. And he is called into the commander's office. Two guys in suits clipped that film footage out that shows the UFO, and he's ordered to never talk about it. He comes forward to Arrow. He heeds the call, thinking he's doing his duty as an American to tell that story, and they completely dismissed him. They made up a story that they had tracked down the original footage, and there was nothing like that in it. Well, there was no original footage. It had been taken away the day the footage was recorded. He's deeply disappointed. People like Bob Salas, who had worked at a nuclear ICBM base, who saw UFOs flying over the base and these missile silos were taken down. He went to Arrow too and was completely disregarded. It almost looks like Arrow operated as a counterintelligence operation to get people to come in, tell their stories, and then discredit all of them. I can't imagine that any whistleblower or witness will ever go to Arrow again because of what happened under the first director, who's now long gone, but still seems to act as the spokesperson for that organization.
And I would say, Madam Chair, maybe at some point we need to really dig deep into Arrow, and I would encourage us.
Oh, I'd be happy to send maybe a subpoena to Mr. Kilpatrick.
There you go.
John Fitzpatrick's taking a beating today, isn't he?
This is simply the most significant point in this hearing, and I hope you understand the implications of this. But I have a very serious question and problem with the whole shebang at this point. She is willing to subpoena Kirkpatrick, then what in the hell is the holdup? These hearings have been labeled as dog and pony shows. We don't want dog and pony shows. If you have the power of subpoena, Congresswoman Luna, George Knapp is nothing compared to getting Kirkpatrick there under a subpoena and an oath that he will tell the truth and get witnesses to whether he is telling the truth and get them in there. Call those people in who are blocking the narrative from you, the Congress. I can't fathom that Congress is not interested in getting them people in to testify. So, yeah, it's kind of a cute little rhetorical move. Oh, I'll be happy to maybe subpoena Kirkpatrick. Maybe. Are you kidding me? No disrespect, Lady Congresswoman Luna, but there is no room for maybe. You get his sorry, lying ass in your Congress and get the truth out of him. What are you waiting for? That's my stance on that. I get it. It was a cute rhetorical point. It got some nice applause. She was smiling all smug and, pretty like and all that. Stop smiling and start getting the people in here who will make a difference to you getting power back. We represented you. This is why I'm talking to my audience. You and I need to verify to Congress that we've got their back on this. This is what we want. We want Kirkpatrick in that next hearing. We want everybody who is obfuscating the narrative. We want those bastards and bitches who are hiding the physical evidence from us in these congressional hearings to tell us what's going on. That's who we want. We want the evidence. What is the hold up? If you've got the subpoena power, this is what shocked me. I've been being told that they can't subpoena them, and that's why we want to give them the power. Maybe she is referring in the future, if this UFO bill passes, hopefully it will. George Knapp talks about that a little later on. But if they have that power, then that's who we need to get in here without question. And maybe that's why she said that. She's letting us know perhaps her future intention, which in that case, I am 199,000 billion% behind you. But let's give Congress that power. We elected them. They are our voice. Do you want disclosure? Prove it. Quit whining about nothing burgers. Get off your dead asses and start talking to your elected representatives of your state. That's what we need. And I'm not cussing anyone out. I know I come across somewhat harsh and energetic and all that. You damn rights I do. This is seriously important that we have our voices represented and heard. We are being taken out, as Burleson noted. So exciting times in the future, potentially. All right, let's keep going. Lots of cool stuff in this hearing, man. I'm just saying, this is pretty flippin' exciting. It's kind of cool.
Your view for the program for investigating or reverse engineering UAP related technology, including official, misappropriated, or black budget funds?
I wouldn't have a clue. I don't know any person that's ever seen it.
Does anyone on this panel wish to address that question? Okay, moving on. Are any of you willing to name specific gatekeepers within the root cell of the UAP SAP Federation?
You mean specific people and contractors that have dealt with this and kept the secret?
Specific individuals.
Well, one of them was named Dr. James Ryder at Lockheed. But, you know, again, to emphasize, I don't fault these contractors for doing what they were asked to do by our government. They're supposed to lie if people ask about it. And the intelligence agencies who gave this stuff to them, CIA, I think primarily, told them to keep it quiet. And they've done that. And I suspect that they'd like an off-ramp, that they'd like some help with figuring out this technology at some point.
So now we get to a very critical point. George Knapp named someone on the inside. But our own government agencies are telling them to lie. So if Congress does get the power to subpoena these people, is there any way to have an assurance that they're not going to continue lying even under oath? And how difficult would it be to prove they're lying and perjuring themselves? I honestly don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. That could take years just to see if one person lied about a small trivial point. And by then, most of us will be dead. So nothing may get done after all anyway, even if they can subpoena the core people who are keeping us out of power. If they are accused of perjuring, there could be lawsuits, counter lawsuits, all kinds of government hearings that have nothing to do with UFOs, and they could obfuscate another 100 years. That's what we're up against. Man, that's a tough one, because they're doing what they're told. The government told them to lie. All right. They have lied so much, they have gotten away with pushing the government clear out of the picture. And the government doesn't even know that. Wow. The implications of this are staggering. So on the one hand, I get all hyper and excited and say, man, it's time for us to get off our lazy dead butts and start communicating with our elected representatives. And on the other hand, even if they subpoena the people who are reverse engineering the UFO craft from Lockheed Martin, there's no guarantee we're going to get disclosure in the truth. You know, I hate to pick a name, but based on his reputation, simply because of his chosen life, that he freely chose to be a disinformation agent, would we be able to trust a Richard Doty in a congressional hearing under oath? He's a professional disinformation agent. He's probably better armed than all of our elected representatives combined. Even Burchett, with his fun, smart, Southern, sassy style, probably couldn't get the truth out of him. Man, that's a tough nut to crack. This is what we're up against, man. This is why I'm saying, and I will continue to say, for those who say, well, we want proof, really? How much are you studying right now in the paper trail? It convinced George Knapp because it's very, very valid evidence. It's what makes Richard Dolan's books so magnificent to read, as well as Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, and many other books. Keenan, Kearney, whatever her name is, Bledsoe, all of these books, the people keep saying, oh, they're just grifters. You're missing the point. That's evidence. That is evidence. You want videos and pictures? Shut up and go get them yourself if that's the only thing that'll convince you. Because AI has taken away the validity of videos and pictures now. So are all you really going to do is sit there and whine and complain about all the problems? Or are you going to become an investigator? I guess that's the question open to us public. Well, they're just grifters. They just write books. I'm not going to read those books. Well, you moron, you idiot. Then stay in the dark. I happen to think Richard Dolan's books are spectacular historical, valid evidence of the phenomenon, without question. If you're going to find a reason not to read them, then shut the hell up with your complaining. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm not going to accept anything you say criticism-wise, because if you're not willing to investigate, then your criticism has zero validity, in my opinion. I'm just trying to cover all bases to show us the situation. The nature of this situation in front of us is very fascinating. Let's keep looking.
Phone in everybody's pocket. At some point, this information is going to be impossible to withhold from the public. What do you think is the long game here?
Well, the secret's out. I mean, how many videos have there been already? You know, videos that are leaked from within the military and intelligence agencies and contractors and censor platforms. It's out there, but they have the high ground. The people that don't want us to take it seriously dismiss it, discredit the witnesses, come up with a cover story. I mean, it's been out there a long time. The public senses that it's real, and the people in authority dismiss them. It's a game that's been going on a long time, and I don't think they're ever going to release it. I think that there's an attitude among the people that have been involved in this for a long time that the public doesn't deserve to know, and that the public probably can't handle it, but they can.
Now, there you go. George Knapp doesn't think disclosure is ever going to happen. Richard Dolan says it'll happen, but it's a drip by drip process. In the meantime, just exactly like George Knapp is saying, and Richard Dolan, among other authors, is proving, there is a lot of information that we don't have to remain ignorant on. And Dolan says the MUFON reports, and there's another one that he uses. And Chris Ramsey from Area 52, man, his videos on the Lacerda files, that's evidence. You know, those were very popular. As we look into these things, look at what Pavel on Psychoactivo is doing right now. He is getting to the information. The information, that's critically important evidence. You know, to just let critics dismiss that is utterly ridiculous. I'm not doing it. Neither should any of you. Challenge them on that. Say, really? Ha, let's take a look at the historical record. Well, that's not evidence. Well, then I have no reason to waste my time with you if you're not willing to look at evidence. Who are you to decide which is the valid evidence and which isn't? And on what evidence do you dismiss the evidence is going to become my question more and more and more. So we're still learning. George Knapp just does a fabulous job with all of this. I am so proud of him. Honored to call him and Jeremy Corbell friends. From a distance, but I consider them friends. Fellow associates who are trying to find the truth. Oh, I can't get the exact part. Here we go. I'll just start it.
Red 3 was the name I got, and then the DIA guys who looked at it figured out there was a much larger organization.
And it's listed in those documents?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, I'd like to ask the committee to replay that video that Burleson had played earlier. I want to ask every witness here, specifically ones that have sensor training or have been able to recognize some of this movements real quick. So if you guys can please roll that.
That's why this video is so important. They showed it twice in this congressional hearing. Now that's saying something. I'm just saying. Pay attention here. What she asks is very interesting.
That real quick. Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick, yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Okay, does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Nat?
I had a different reaction. I was really happy that it got out. Thanks for providing
Curiosity
that,
kills the
Congressman.
cat. All right, Mr. Borland?
Yes, for
Okay. All right, that is the end of my questioning.
That video scared him. That's the proper reaction. Now I understand Knapp too, because he was curious. He had told the story, and now he finally gets to see the video that came from a congressional representative, Representative Burleson. So thank you, Representative Burleson, for sharing this video in a public hearing. And now the rest of us see it, and we can see it's not a joke and it's not a hoax. Nothing in our arsenal can withstand a hellfire missile like that. And yet this thing did, and it kept flying. And those three little things flying around it regrouped and kept following it. Now, that's serious evidence. You say you want evidence. I've seen comments saying, yeah, this was just a nothing burger hearing. Good God, what do you want? That video is sensational evidence in the context of having military people who know what a Hellfire missile can do say nothing can withstand that kind of a shot. And yet this thing did. That's not Lockheed technology. That's not Lockheed technology. The Hellfire missile could have shot it down. Regardless of what Ross Coulthart says about the Tic Tac being Lockheed, some of it may very well be. What's on this video is not. That's fascinating. That's what makes this hearing far from a nothing burger. I mean, people who keep calling all these hearings nothing burgers, you're boring the living hell out of us. Go away and take up hiking. Do something significant with your lives. The rest of us have a really cool mystery, an investigation to take care of. You guys, you boring idiots, scram for a while, would you? Go get some maturity under your belt. Why don't you go study some critical thinking so that you can see how lopsidedly wrong you are about calling this hearing a nothing burger?
Beginning of my remarks, what hooked me on the story was the paper trail, these documents that shouldn't exist. We've been told for decades over and over, there's nothing to it. It's not a threat. You can go about your business. And then when FOIA becomes the law of the land, thousands of pages to the contrary leak out. There's a memo by General Nathan Twining in 1947 when the country was being overflown by dozens of UFOs, hundreds of UFOs, in which he said, look, this is not visionary or fictitious. It's real. These things are craft. They're not ours. They outperform anything we've got. I mean, if you follow the paper trail of documents that they wrote before the military got wise and realized that FOIA really exists and changed their tune and not put things in writing, it spells it out pretty clearly. I'll go refer back to Russia. One incident I did not mention to Representative Burleson is Colonel Sokolov in that Ministry of Defense program said there were 40 incidents where Russian warplanes were sent to intercept UFOs, and they were ordered to fire on them. And for the most part, the UFOs would zip away. 3 of the pilots, though, did fire at these things. Those 3 planes stalled out, crashed. 2 of those pilots died. And after that, the Russians changed the standing order. If you see a UFO, leave them alone. No country in the world wants to say and admit that these objects are flying around in our airspace, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, who wants to say that? The U.S. certainly doesn't. The Russians didn't either.
Once again, the importance of the paper trail. Before all the government secrecy, before the 3-letter agencies became a bunch of idiots trying to keep the narrative from the rest of us, they were sharing the information. And that is why we know the UFOs are real. This hearing was an eye-opener for me. I'm very grateful it occurred. We are better informed. This does help our Congress. If that video isn't entertaining or evidence for you, you gotta be damn near brain dead, man. Like, give me any other conclusion to come to. You've never seen that video before. George Knapp never saw that video until just now, and it thrilled him. You want a video? There you go. You want paper trail evidence? George Knapp is showing us it's there. Richard Dolan has been showing us it's there. Everyone's writing about this, showing us it's there. The UFOs over the nuclear installations in Russia, in Europe, in the United States, in Montana, those aren't just stories without evidence. Those are patterns of evidence that the UFOs are watching our nuclear energy installations. No one else has the codes, and they got to those codes. The evidence is in the reactions of the people who worked at those facilities. That's not fake. That's actual evidence. For people to say, oh, well, yeah, but that doesn't prove anything. The hell? I disagree entirely with that. You don't know how evidence works if that's your approach to this material. You know, go ahead and refute Richard Dolan's book on the USOs. Now, so far as I know, it's middle of September. I hope he's working hard on his second volume. His first volume has been out for several months, and I've read it. Just go ahead and go refute that book. No, I mean refute it with actual evidence. Don't just tell me, well, I don't accept that. Big deal. Show it. Show me your evidence that Dolan's wrong. Show me the evidence that his evidence is wrong. Do you even know how to do a counter investigation? If not, shut up. I'll humiliate you in public because I was trained in studying historical evidence. I'll be happy to take you on. If you want to try to refute Richard Dolan's book on USOs, I will be the lawyer for defense. I will be the researcher for defense. I'll be happy to show you how his evidence is valid, without question. So anyway, that's my report on this most amazing hearing. I was thrilled with this hearing. I'm very happy it happened. I'm thrilled that George Knapp came through. Oh, he came through like a king, man. Fabulous stuff. So that's my report on the hearing. I really hope this UAP bill gets through. If it doesn't, you're not going to like my reaction. I'm probably going to be so livid, I'm going to be spitting fire because our government needs to work together now. We got to quit compartmentalizing everything so that nobody knows nothing. In this hearing, they did say 9/11 happened because of the ridiculous stupidity of the United States government separating all kinds of knowledge in different departments and not letting other departments know the information. The CIA hides from the FBI and the DOD and the DOJ and all that jazz, and everybody keeps their own little information. And they could have prevented 9/11, and because they were so damn determined to keep their information to themselves and not share it, we lost thousands of lives and we were attacked, and they got to us. Now that should terrify you. We need to speak up as a people and tell the government, you've got to change your tune. There's 300 million of us, damn it. Let's get this done. We love our freedom. We love our country. Let's get our government back into our power. That is the idea of a democracy. So let's make it work. That would be my hope. All right, you guys, I got to go. It's getting sunsetting. It's probably too dark to see me now, so the light of the screen is reflecting on me. But all right, appreciate all your efforts. Appreciate all your support. I will be back with more as I find it. Have a great night. It's been fun sharing this with you tonight.